Qian Wayne gives you the whole story. The drama is about to start. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. You'll make 5 million as soon as you step out. When I found out, I got into the country's top university. I wasn't happy at all. Instead, I begged my teacher to hide my admission letter. Because in my past life, the first thing I did was share the good news with my parents. But they told me to give my spot to my adopted brother, Yiting Cheng, my fiancé. Bai Ningbing even used getting married early as an excuse to convince me to stay with her. But the consequence of agreeing was being left all alone in a small town, living a mediocre life. I eventually died of depression, while Yiting Cheng, after entering the top university, smoothly became a diplomat. He had a meteoric rise and was always seen with my fiancé. My parents even convinced my wife to marry Yiting Cheng after I died. In this life, facing their persuasion, I generously agreed and handed over a fake admission letter I prepared in advance. Since they want to put on a show, I'll play along to the end. 1982, Jincheng High School. I took my Tsinghua University admission letter and knocked on my homeroom teacher's door. Mr. Wang, could you hold on to this for me for a while? I'll come get it before I head to Beijing. Mr. Wang was stunned for a second, then beamed with joy. He took the heavy letter, looking at me with absolute pride. Of course, no problem. Boda, hard work pays off. Congratulations. He paused, then couldn't help asking, but for such huge news, aren't you going to take it home to celebrate with your family and your fiancé? My fingers tightened slightly. I looked down, a bitter feeling slowly spreading from my heart, spreading to every inch of my body. They won't be happy for me. I know better than anyone. In my last life, I held this letter and practically sprinted home in excitement. I fully believed they would be as thrilled as I was, that they would be proud of me. But what greeted me wasn't joy, but a massive blow. Bai Ningbing, the girl who had been by my side since childhood, who I was engaged to early on, suggested we get married early. She said she didn't want us to be miles apart. She was willing to let me stay. She promised that even without a degree, she would never let me suffer. My parents took turns trying to persuade me, telling me to give my admission letter to my adopted brother, who failed the college entrance exam, Yiting Cheng. Their reasons sounded so high and mighty. They said the family could only afford to send one kid to Beijing for further studies, and Cheng was better suited for that path, and that me staying by their side was the best choice. Hesitation, struggle, pain. In the end, I compromised. And just like that, Yiting Cheng took what should have been my admission letter and walked into Tsinghua University. Later, he smoothly entered the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and became a high-profile diplomat. And what about Bai Ningbing? She applied to be Yiting Cheng's security detail, and from then on they were inseparable, while I, her husband in name only, was left alone in an empty house, lonely and isolated. Depression slowly ate me alive. Even when I was severely ill and on my deathbed, she still stayed by Yiting Cheng's side, without a single glance back at me. After I died, my unwilling soul floated to her side. I saw with my own eyes that when she heard of my death, she looked completely calm. She even just casually said, "Got it," as if I was never her husband, but just some total stranger who had nothing to do with her. And my parents, less than 3 days after I died, they started urging her to remarry, to become Yiting Cheng's wife. That's when I truly understood. My whole life was an absolute joke. I literally handed over my future to someone else. And in return, I got half a lifetime of misery. Family, love, I got none of it. Even the name G. Boda became a joke to outsiders. In this life, I just want to firmly guard my admission letter and fulfill my dream of becoming a diplomat. Mr. Wang was stunned for a second, but he just patted my shoulder and solemnly promised, "Don't worry. Except to you in person. I won't hand this letter over to anyone." I bowed, suppressing the swirling emotions in my heart. Walking out of the office, I rode my vintage bike all the way back to the courtyard. As soon as I walked in, I saw Yiting Cheng sitting inside, hitting his head. His eyes were red. It's all my fault for being useless and not getting into college. What am I going to do? My mom rushed to comfort him, heartbroken, wiping his tears. My dad was sighing next to them. while Bai Ningbing suddenly stood up and grabbed my wrist. With an unquestionable commanding tone, she said, "Boda, give your admission letter to Cheng." I froze. Before I could even speak, her attitude suddenly softened. Her voice became almost pleading. "If you go to college, we'll barely see each other. I can't bear to let you go. Give the letter to Cheng, and we'll get married right away. Then we can live together every day." Her nails dug deep into my skin. A sharp pain shot up my wrist. I pulled my hand back hard. 5 bright red marks clearly showed on my skin. Bai Ningbing frowned. I didn't mean it. I was just anxious. My parents exchanged a look and chimed in to back her up. "You and Bing are already engaged. It's fine, even if you don't go to college. Besides, you're our biological son. Both the Ji family and the Bai family will have your back. It's different for Cheng. He's adopted. His biological parents died early. If he doesn't have a degree, people will look down on him even more. In my past life, I caved under the 3 of them teaming up like this, persuading me. I went soft and handed over my admission letter. But what did I get in return? Bai Ningbing applied for multiple transfers for Yiting Cheng, swearing to stay by his side. My parents moved to Beijing using the excuse of looking after Yiting Cheng, leaving me alone and miserable for nearly 20 years. Looking back now, all their persuasion was just lies. It's hilarious that I actually believed Bai Ningbing truly couldn't bear to be apart from me, thinking my parents just pitied Yiting Cheng. Absolutely ridiculous. I looked down, my heart completely cold. "Fine," I said calmly, my tone totally flat. "I'm willing to give my admission letter to Yiting Cheng." Saying that, I pulled out the fake admission letter I had prepared from my jacket and slowly handed it over. "Since they want to play games, I'll play along. I earned my spot at Tsinghua by burning the midnight oil. Becoming a diplomat is my dream across 2 lifetimes. In this life, I won't use my own blood, sweat, and tears to pave the way for Yiting Cheng's glory." The room instantly fell silent. Even Yiting Cheng, who was leaning against our mom and secretly watching my expression, froze. Bai Ningbing stared at the admission letter with a complex look in her eyes. She asked, Are you really just going to give up your chance to go to college to Cheng?" I lowered my eyes, a mocking smile forming on my lips. In my past life, I was reluctant and hesitated to agree, so she whispered in my ear every day, using both the carrot and the stick, until I completely caved. But now that I agreed immediately, she's the one hesitating. "What? Isn't this what you guys wanted to hear from me?" I said lightly. "If you guys are changing your minds, I'll just go to college myself." Saying that, I pretended to pull the admission letter back. "Don't." Yiting Cheng lunged forward and snatched the letter from my hand, hugging it tightly to his chest, greed flashing in his eyes. Mom immediately reacted, protecting him behind her, shielding the admission letter. Terrified, I'd grab it back. "Boda, Mom knew you were sensible. Since you agreed to give it to your brother, you can't go back on your word." Yiting Cheng glanced at Bai Ningbing, a hint of resentment in his eyes, but he still bit his lip and muttered, "Mom, this admission letter definitely isn't as important as marrying Sister Bingbing. I think Boda won't back out." Hearing this, the hesitation in Bai Ningbing's eyes instantly vanished, replaced with a look of clear understanding. Yeah, in her eyes, my biggest dream has always been to be her husband. What's college compared to that? As long as I can marry her, Ji Boda would obviously give up anything. Her face relaxed, a smile playing on her lips, as if confidently declaring, "Cheng is right, Boda. Giving up the admission letter is the best choice for everyone. Open it and see which university it is." Yiting Cheng eagerly tore open the envelope, overjoyed. "Wow, it's the University of Science and Technology." He clutched that fake letter, looking at me with a beaming smile. "Brother, thank you. I'm already looking forward to registration day." In my past life, he thanked me with that same two-faced smile, and I was dumb enough to earnestly tell him to achieve the diplomat dream for me. This time, I just smiled. I'm looking forward to it too. Looking forward to registering at Tsinghua myself. Bai Ningbing clearly misunderstood, thinking I was genuinely happy for Yiting Cheng, showing rare tenderness toward me. Boda, now that Cheng's college situation is sorted, let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get our marriage license. My parents immediately pushed us along, hurrying to push us out the door, terrified I'd change my mind and take back the letter. Before I could even speak, just shortly after leaving the courtyard, footsteps sounded from behind. Yiding Cheng jogged up to catch us, smiling as he slung his arm over my shoulder. I scoffed inwardly. The real show has just begun. Brother, I want to go with you guys too. You don't mind me crashing? You and Sister Bingbing getting your license, do you? Yiding Cheng asked cautiously, yet unable to hide the excitement in his eyes. I was silent for a moment, then shook my head. I don't mind, because there's no way in hell I'm getting a marriage license with Bai Ningbai. One lifetime of living in an empty house is enough. At the Civil Affairs Bureau, Bai Ningbing picked up the form, scribbled quickly, and signed her name. Smiling, she handed the pen to me. Your turn, Boda. I've already signed. Once you sign your name, we'll officially be husband and wife. My fingers tightened slightly, but I made no move. Just as I was thinking of an excuse to refuse, Yiding Cheng suddenly sneezed. Bai Ningbing's expression instantly tensed. She immediately put down the application form, took off her army green jacket, and gently draped it over Yiding Cheng's shoulders. Are you catching a cold? Quick, put my jacket on. That gentle, considerate demeanor, it was exactly like a good wife caring for her husband. I was dazed for a second, remembering shortly after we got married in my past life. I saw his jacket, casually tossed, on a chair. I wanted to hang it up for him, but the moment my fingers touched the fabric, he snatched it away with a cold face. The military uniform is sacred. You can't just touch it. Back then, I blamed myself for taking risks. But now I realize, it wasn't about the uniform. It was that he never let me touch his true tenderness. Comrades, are you still filling out this marriage application? The staff member looked up, her eyes filled with a mix of complexity and sympathy. Snapping back, my gaze landed on the sight before me. This pair acting like a couple madly in love. My lips curled slightly. I took the application form. The pen landed, and I boldly wrote down 3 words. Yiding Cheng. After a careful check by the staff, a heavy red stamp was pressed onto the marriage certificate. I looked down, my fingertips slowly tracing those 2 glaring names. Yiding Cheng. Bai Ningbing. A silent smile formed on my lips. Bai Ningbing. In this life, I'm personally making it happen for you and Yiding Cheng. I closed both marriage certificates and handed them to her. She raised an eyebrow in surprise. Aren't you keeping one? I shook my head and said, no, it's not my marriage, not my certificate. What's the point of keeping it? Bai Ningbing didn't overthink it. Assuming it was just easier for her to hold on to them, she casually stuffed both certificates into her pocket, too lazy to even take a second look. On the way back from the Civil Affairs Bureau, she was doting on Yiding Cheng the whole way, adjusting the jacket on his shoulders, her eyes full of care, while I walked behind them, like an irrelevant stranger. As we passed a photo studio, Yiding Cheng tugged at Bai Ningbing's sleeve. Looking pitiful, he said, Sister Bingbing, I've never had my photo taken. Can you come with me? She didn't hesitate, her tone gentle. Of course. I just watched them walk into the studio, standing shoulder to shoulder in front of the red backdrop. Yiding Cheng smiling from ear to ear, and Bai Ningbing's usually cold, arrogant face was overflowing with tenderness. It stung my eyes. In my past life, until the day I died, I never got to take a single photo with her. Every time I brought it up, she'd coldly say she didn't like taking pictures. A flat-out rejection. Turns out she didn't hate the camera. She just hated facing the camera with me. They walked out chatting and laughing, photos in hand. Only when she saw me did Bai Ningbing seem to suddenly remember something. She hesitantly said, Today is the day we got our license. Let's go take a photo together too. I paused, then gave a soft smile, shaking my head. No need. Fate really is ironic. In my past life, I was pathetic till the end, never getting the chance, reborn for a second time. It's easily handed to me. Too bad, this time around I don't need it anymore. As soon as I said that, Yiding Cheng looked at me, eyes red, his voice trembling. Brother, are you blaming me for taking pictures with Sister Bingbing? I really just wanted to experience what it's like to have my photo taken. I didn't mean anything by it. Before I could even open my mouth, Bai Nangbing's face turned cold. Stepping in front to shield him, Cheng is your brother. He and I are practically family too. It's just a photo. Are you really that petty? I lowered my head, a bitter smile forcing its way onto my lip. In her eyes, my existence, Ji Boda, turns out doesn't even deserve a spot in a photograph. I clenched my fists, knuckles almost turning white. It's just like this. I clearly hadn't said a single harsh word, but just because of Yiding Cheng's casual little complaint. Bai Ningbing immediately, without any thought for the truth, blamed me. A sour feeling hit my chest. I took a deep breath, pushing down my emotions. Just as I was about to explain, I didn't. My sentence was cut off. Suddenly, there was a series of screams behind us. I instinctively turned my head and saw an out-of-control jeep barreling right towards us. Watch out! Bai Ningbing reacted the fastest. She instantly shielded Yiding Cheng in her arms and rapidly backed away. But I couldn't dodge in time. The car slammed heavily into me, throwing me to the ground. Crack! Severe pain instantly shot from my ankle through my entire body. I swore I heard the sound of a bone dislocating. I bit my lips so hard it almost bled. Breathing heavily, I squeezed out from my throat. But what was her response? It was her panicked voice. Cheng, are you hurt? Struggling, I lifted my head and saw her checking Yiding Cheng over very carefully, terrified he might have even a single scratch. Yiding Cheng was pale from terror, clinging to her, voice shaking. No, just so scared. That car almost. Bai Ningbing gently patted his back, soothingly saying, don't be scared. I'm here. I won't let you get hurt one bit. That scene overlapped with my memories, stabbing at my heart. When I fell into the water and was drowning as a kid, she desperately jumped into the river and saved me. She made that solemn promise to me too. Boda, I won't let you get hurt one bit. But now she's long forgotten those words. And that same vow, she repeated for someone else. I forced back the tears in my eyes, enduring the piercing pain in my ankle, slowly pushing myself up. Only then did she throw a glance my way. Frowning slightly, she said, why didn't you know to get out of the way? I pursed my lips. No response. Get out of the way? I'm just a regular person, not a soldier, not a hero. How could I possibly dodge a speeding car? She seemed to know. She was too harsh. Her eyes landing on my swollen ankle. Hesitating for a moment, she spoke. Forget it. I'll take you to the hospital. Just as her hand reached out, Yiding Cheng, with teary eyes, immediately grabbed her sleeve. Voice trembling. Sister Bingbing, I know brother is hurt, but I'm really so scared. What if another car loses control? His casual remark made Bai Ningbing freeze mid-action. I saw her hovering between me and Yiding Cheng, and finally, she made her choice. I'll take Cheng home first. Wait here for me. After saying that, she protected Yiding Cheng, leaving without a backward glance. I watched their fading silhouettes. My heart like it was being brutally squeezed by a giant hand. It turns out, no matter how severe my injury, it's no match for Yiding Cheng just saying he's scared. I lowered my head, curling my lips. With a bitter taste, I didn't wait where I was, because I knew she'd never come back. At the clinic, a nurse squatted by my feet, carefully applying medicine. Frowning, she advised, even though no bones are broken, try to walk less. Best to have your family come pick you up. I looked down, my fingers unconsciously gripping tight. Family. After a long silence, I spoke hoarsely. Can I borrow your phone? The nurse agreed. I used the clinic's phone to call home. The call went through. It rang more than a dozen times before someone answered. Mom, I didn't even finish. Cut off by my mom's anxious voice. Boda, how did your brother almost get hit by a car? Wasn't he with you? As the older brother, how could you not protect him? He was so scared he almost cried. Through the receiver, I could vaguely hear my dad scolding too. What kind of brother is he? When it matters, he's less caring than Bingbing. His brother has such a huge incident, and he was nowhere to be seen. My knuckles holding the receiver almost turned white. Their tone was completely filled with heartbreak for Yiding Cheng, and blame for me. No one asked if I was hurt. No one cared. Why? I hadn't come home with them. In my past life, and in this life too, I could never figure out. I'm their biological son. Why did they give all their love and favoritism to an adopted son? Yiting Cheng is the orphan of my dad's comrade. Ever since he was brought back to the Ji family, I was told that my brother's gone. His biological parents are pitiful, and I needed to let him have his way. From then on, clothes, snacks, toys, Yiting Cheng got to pick first for everything. I could only pick from the leftovers, and eventually, even my parents' love was entirely biased towards him. All I got was the occasional tiny scrap of pity. Why aren't you saying anything? Hurry back. Cheng's still. My mom's voice continued urging me through the phone. I closed my eyes, and after a long silence, slowly hung up the phone. The moment the busy signal sounded, I completely severed my last remaining attachment to them. I looked down at the thick layers of gauze wrapped around my ankle. A wave of bleak self-mockery washing over me. Having lived one lifetime, I should have known better. In their eyes, Yiting Cheng is their only son. There was never me. Seeing me finish the call, the nurse couldn't help asking, "Young man, when is your family coming to pick you up?" I was silent for a moment. My voice, so light it was barely audible. "I don't have family. That's Yiting Cheng's family, not mine." The kind nurse handed me a crutch. I said my thanks, and hobbled out of the clinic alone. As soon as I pushed the door open at home, my mom rushed up to me, her tone full of questioning. "Cheng had such a huge accident. Why did you just—" Her words cut off abruptly. Her gaze landed on my ankle, tightly wrapped in layers of gauze. She froze, lips moving silently. "Mom didn't know you were hurt too. You kid, why didn't you say anything on the phone?" I looked at her quietly, my mind completely blank. It wasn't that she didn't hear me speak. It's just that she never wanted to hear what I had to say. "But you and Dad didn't give me a chance. You only care about Yiting Cheng." The moment the words were out, that rare hint of guilt in my mom's eyes didn't even have time to stay. My dad's anger was instantly ignited. "Are you blaming me and your mom? Cheng's biological parents passed away early. What's wrong with us giving him a little extra care?" Their voices crashed into my ears one after another. Even right now, with my ankle wrapped in thick gauze, the cold sweat not even dried, they still didn't have a single word of concern. Yiting Cheng lost his parents. But me, a kid with parents, lived a life no different from having none. I curled my lips, not wanting to argue anymore. Leaning on the crutch, I turned to go back to my room. Passing by Yiting Cheng's bedroom, I saw Bai Ningbing keeping watch by his bed. Her voice was soft, her eyes full of reassurance. She promised she'd come back for me. But I waited at the clinic for half an hour, and she never showed up. That one glance was enough. I looked away, and quietly went back to my own room. In the days that followed, I stayed in my room to recover, until the swelling in my ankle slowly faded, and I could walk again. I took the crutch to the clinic, and returned it. Coming out of the clinic, I turned a corner and went to the police station. I snuck my ID out of the house. Just for today. This place isn't my home anymore. Since that's the case, there's no need for me to come back after I go to college. Transferring my household registration went surprisingly smoothly. The moment I got the transfer paper, my heart finally settled. Once the semester starts, I can leave for good and go live my own new life. On the way home, the sun shined down on me, warm and nice. Since being reborn, this is the first time my body felt so light, no longer feeling suppressed. "Ji Boda." A familiar voice called out from behind. I turned and saw it was my homeroom teacher, Mr. Wang. "What a coincidence. I was just planning to go to your house to find you. Didn't expect to run into you here." Mr. Wang had an envelope in his hand. He shoved it into my arms, beaming. "This is the school's bonus for students who got into Tsinghua. Keep it safe." I froze for a second, looking down at the heavy envelope in my hand. Before the exams, I didn't hear about the school having a bonus. Mr. Wang patted my shoulder, speaking earnestly. "This is something new the school added, to encourage students to keep working hard once they get to college. Boda, I believe in you. Don't let me down." My nose stung. I could only nod firmly. At least someone actually saw my hard work. In my past life, I actually handed over the Tsinghua spot I worked so hard for to Yiting Cheng on a silver platter. not only doing a disservice to my own efforts, but also letting down Mr. Wang's expectations. Thankfully, in this life, I grabbed the chance. I nodded firmly, promising Mr. Wang, sir, once I get into Tsinghua, I'll definitely study hard and achieve my dream. He patted my shoulder, his eyes filled with relief. He also carefully reminded me of a lot of low things to look out for in college. Until he turned to leave, I was still tightly clutching that envelope. I could clearly feel the warmth radiating from it. I held on to it tightly the whole way back. That was the first time I felt like I was truly holding my own future in my hands. Back home, I planned to carefully tuck this bonus into the very bottom of my suitcase. Hide it well. But just as I walked through the living room, my dad's sharp voice barked, "Stop right there. Cheng's pocket watch is missing. Do you know where it is?" I froze, completely baffled. How the hell would I know where his stuff is? The next second, Yiding Cheng bolted out of his bedroom. Eyes red, he gripped my sleeve tightly. Voice choking with sobs, "Brother, I've looked everywhere in the house, but I still can't find it. That's the only keepsake my biological parents left me. It has our family photo in it. I can't lose it." I looked around. My parents didn't try to stop him at all, just watching coldly. Bai Ningbing was standing off to the side, silent, her heavy gaze falling on me. I suddenly realized they all thought I stole that pocket watch. An indescribable feeling of absurdity and irony surged in my chest. "You guys think I took his pocket watch?" Dad slammed his hand on the table. His roar made my eardrums buzz. "We've searched the whole house, and it's not here. You're the only one who wasn't home today. If it wasn't you, who else could it be?" Mom's tone was a bit softer, but even more grating. "Boda, that pocket watch is really important to your brother. Hurry up and give it back to him." I gripped the envelope in my hand tightly, my knuckles turning white. Right then, Bai Ningbing, who had been quiet, finally spoke up. Her tone was calm, but cut like a knife. "How about this? Let Cheng search you." In that moment, what flared up in my heart wasn't anger, but bone-deep humiliation. There was no hesitation in their eyes. As if I really was that shady thief. I clearly didn't take it. Why should I let Yiding Cheng search me like a criminal? I yanked my arm back forcefully, my gaze sweeping over their suspicious faces, feeling nothing but a coldness in my heart. I said I didn't take his pocket watch, and I won't let him search me. After saying that, I didn't bother looking at them anymore, turned around and prepared to go back to my bedroom. "Brother, that watch means everything to me." Yiding Cheng hurriedly grabbed my sleeve. In the struggle, an envelope fell to the ground, revealing a neat stack of 10 yuan bills inside. The room went silent for a second. Yiding Cheng was the first to react. Eyes red, he picked up the stack of money. Voice breaking, "Brother, I know, you've never really liked me as a brother. But the pocket watch is the only thing I have left of my parents. How could you steal it and sell it?" I froze in place. My chest felt like it took a hard hit. I didn't expect the money to fall out. I didn't. "This money is..." I hurriedly tried to explain, still trying to talk your way out of it. Slap! Dad slapped me hard across the face. My head was knocked to the side. My ears were ringing. The taste of blood immediately filled my mouth. He was furious, glaring at me, questioning loudly. "You actually dared to steal and sell the keepsake from Cheng's parents, said. When I pass away, how will I have the face to see my old comrade?" I reached up and wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth, looking up at the 3 pairs of eyes. Eyes full of disappointment and anger, like they were looking at a heinous thief. Living together for nearly 20 years, man. But when it comes down to it, not a single person believes me. The coldness in my heart spread layer by layer. I almost lost the strength to even speak, but I gritted my teeth and forced out a few words. "Yiding Cheng always keeps his pocket watch on him. How could I possibly steal it? This money is the bonus the school gave to students who got into college. If you don't believe me, you can go ask Mr. Wang." But the second I said that, Bai Ningbing's glare got even colder. She looked at me like I was a total stranger. Her voice was pure ice. "Cheng's pocket watch literally just went missing, and you suddenly get a bonus. There's no way it's just a coincidence. We already got our marriage license. You're a military spouse now. You should be setting a good example. I never expected you to not only be a thief, but also a pathological liar." She stared at me dead in the eyes. like she was judging a criminal. Since that's the case, I'm gonna have to teach you a lesson. To make you seriously reflect on what you did. Bai Ningbing coldly gave the order. Lock him in solitary confinement. I froze, staring into her freezing eyes. My past life suddenly flashed through my mind. When she heard about my death, that totally unfazed, couldn't care less look on her face. At that moment, it finally hit me. The person from my youth, who once swore to protect me forever, was completely shattered into dust. I was mercilessly tossed into the solitary confinement room. It was pitch black all around. Couldn't tell day from night. All I could do was curl up in a corner and hug myself tight. Not a single drop of water. Starvation, freezing cold, and the sheer humiliation ate away at my sanity, bit by bit. I have no idea how long it was before the door was finally pushed open. Commander Bai says you can leave now. Blinding sunlight suddenly poured in. I could barely keep my eyes open. It took forever just to adjust. Dragging my exhausted body, I hobbled all the way home. Brother, I'm so sorry. Yiting Cheng shrunk back, acting all fake scared that I'd be mad at him. I found my pocket watch in the crack by my bed. We totally blamed you for nothing. Before I could even speak, Dad beat me to it. What's there to apologize? It was a good chance to toughen your brother up in solitary. Mom's eyes shifted, not even daring to look me in the eye. Instead, she just blindly took their side. Boda, your brother just lost his watch. He was just panicking, that's all. You're the older brother. Be the bigger person. Don't hold a grudge against him. Word after word. It stabbed my heart like tiny needles. Because of Yiting Cheng's totally baseless slander, I was locked in solitary without a drop of water for a whole day. And when the truth comes out, they seriously think they can just brush it off with a couple of gaslighty excuses. Just as I thought, even as the biological son, no matter how much trauma I go through, I'll never be anywhere near as important. As the adopted son, they treat like a precious prince. Otherwise, in my past life, the second I flatlined, they wouldn't have been so thirsty to push Bai Ningbing to immediately remarry Yiting Cheng. I took a deep breath, forcing back the sting in my eyes. I'm not holding a grudge. I'm going to my room to rest. I snatched my arm back and headed upstairs, completely ignoring the three of them, standing there looking shocked. Whatever, once the semester starts, I am cutting off this family and all these toxic people for good. Right now there's literally 0 point wasting my energy arguing with them. I went back to my room and crashed on the bed. In a total daze, I dreamt of when I was a kid. Back then my parents used to swing me up high, their eyes full of absolute love and laughter, like the whole world revolved around me. But the memory completely vanished in a flash. Then it was them, holding Yiting Cheng's hands on both sides, while little me just trailed behind them, reaching out as hard as I could, but never being able to grab hold of that warmth that used to be mine. Seeing the three of them, acting like a happy family, was like looking at a massive, uncrossable chasm. I cry in my sleep. A single tear rolled down my cheek and faded into the darkness. First thing the next morning, I was woken up by someone knocking. I opened it, and of all people it was Bai Ningbing. She had a pair of cufflinks in her hand, with a super rare look of guilt in her eyes. She handed them to me. I shouldn't have blamed you for the pocket watch. Please don't be mad. I stared down at the cufflinks, a cynical laugh bubbling up inside me. Some screw-ups are way past the point of forgiving. Seeing I wasn't grabbing them, she literally just shoved them into my chest, sounding all dead serious. We've been married on paper for a bit now. Once Cheng leaves for college, you should move into the Bai house. Don't worry, I'll be the one taking care of the family from now on. I'll never let you suffer. My nose stung. I couldn't help but flash back to my past life. She fed me the exact same line back then, and I was actually dumb enough to think she was making a genuine promise to me. But what really happened? She gave all that loyalty to Yiting Cheng instead. For him she voluntarily transferred bases over and over, following him to the ends of the earth, throwing away literally everything of her own, just to play bodyguard for him. And me, left to rot alone until I died of depression. Thankfully, in this life, her legal husband is Yiting Cheng, and the one who's actually going to college is me, G. Boda. Pushing down the bitterness, I just brushed it off and gave a generic reply. I'm still stuck at the G house for now. I couldn't let them catch on to what I was really planning. Bai Ningbing frowned. She probably thought I was acting weird. Before, whenever she gave me even breadcrumbs, I'd be absolutely thrilled, acting like she handed me the Holy Grail. But today, my total zero fucks given vibe threw her off. Before she could say another word, we were totally cut off by a super hyper guy's voice. Sister Bingbing, does this look good? Wait, yeah, completely interrupted by that voice. I looked up and saw Yiting Cheng waving his wrist around, flexing a brand new Shanghai brand watch. He spotted me standing there, his eyes crinkling into a massive smile. Smirking, he said, "Oh brother, you're here too. Brother, check out the drip, looks sick right? Sister Bingbing bought it for me. She said since I'm heading off to college soon, this is my going away gift." He paused, his eyes casually dropping to the basic cufflinks in my hand, flashing a totally smug, toxic smirk. "Man, I'm so jealous of you, brother. Bagging a top-tier wife like Sister Bingbing. She even treats me, her brother-in-law, this good. I bet the gift she got for you is even more insane, right?" I just internally scoffed, shooting him an unbothered look. "Don't be jealous. After all, you're the one who's actually acting like her husband." With that, I turned around and walked right out the door. It was almost time for registration at Tsinghua. I had to lock in my train ticket ASAP. Walking past the trash cans, I casually tossed those cufflinks right into the garbage. Just a leftover pity prize anyway. I don't need that trash. After waiting in line for 4 straight hours, I finally secured a ticket for 3 days from now. First train heading straight to Beijing. I super carefully tucked the ticket into the deepest pocket of my jacket. Only then did I finally feel at peace. Once I got home, I started packing up. Besides my essential clothes, I literally wasn't planning on taking anything else. G family belongings can stay in the G family house. Just as I was finishing up, Yiting Cheng came bursting through the front door, sobbing. My parents immediately freaked out. Bai Ningbing was hovering over him asking what happened. Yiting Cheng collapsed onto the table, crying his eyes out until they were swollen like walnuts, literally hyperventilating between sobs. Brother told everyone the admission letter was his. Now everyone's flaming me online saying I stole his spot. I can't even show my face anymore. I want to die. G Boda, how dare you? Dad was literally shaking with rage. Even my mom, who usually had at least a shred of patience left for me, completely lost it this time. You literally agreed to give the admission letter to Cheng. Why did you go and run your mouth? Are you trying to ruin your brother's life? I stood there frozen, feeling nothing but absolute, bone-chilling cold. I didn't. My voice was hoarse, but it was instantly drowned out by their yelling. Even knowing trying to explain was pointless, I still couldn't stop myself from trying to defend myself. But Dad cut me off cold. Are you saying Cheng would risk his own reputation and his entire future just to set you up? He raised his hand high, glaring like a maniac, screaming, "You are going to publicly apologize to Cheng right now. Admit that you made it all up because you're a jealous loser. Or I swear I'll beat you half to death, you ungrateful brat." I stubbornly stood my ground. I didn't say a single word. I kept telling myself, they've never actually loved me. Stop caring. Stop expecting anything from them. But my eyes still burned with tears I couldn't hold back. I didn't do it, and I'm not admitting to crap I didn't do. However, the slap I was bracing for never hit me. A slim figure stepped right in front of me. Bai Ningbing. My heart totally skipped a beat. For a split second, I actually thought she was finally backing me up. But the next second, her freezing voice sliced through the air like a knife, completely shredding my last sliver of hope. "Don't hit him. He's already injured. People will just think we beat a fake confession out of him. It's gonna look terrible for Cheng's reputation. We have to make him apologize voluntarily." In that exact moment, the tiny, painful spark of hope in my heart was completely snuffed out. My heart was just encased in solid ice, freezing to the core. I pressed my lips together and forced out the fakest smile ever. It probably looked uglier than crying. "I'm not apologizing." The second I said that, Yiting Cheng started bawling even harder, his shoulders shaking out of control. Bai Ningbing immediately leaned over. She gently wiped away his tears, her tone filled with heartbreak and reassurance. When she looked back up at me, That familiar face held nothing but coldness and unquestionable resolve. If you don't apologize, I'll go straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau and file for divorce. She was so certain that I'd never let go, because she knows that, growing up, my biggest dream was to marry her. My hands hung by my sides, fingernails digging fiercely into my palms. They even started to bleed. But I knew better than anyone. I couldn't let her go to the bureau. Once she checked, she'd find out. The name on the marriage certificate is Yiding Cheng. With how sharp she is, she'd easily connect the dots and figure out the admission letter was fake. I couldn't risk it. After a long time, my throat feeling like it was on fire, I forced out the words, "Fine, I apologize." So in front of the whole courtyard, I stood there holding a self-reflection letter, like a complete criminal, word by word, clearly confessing to a crime I didn't even commit. Saying that because I didn't get into college. I was insanely jealous of Yiding Cheng and spread rumors. The neighbors gathered around in groups, their judgmental stares completely on me, like sharp knives, scraping me down to nothing. And I could only look down, letting the sheer humiliation swallow me whole. Wow. Turns out the older G kid framed the younger one. I used to think Boda was a good kid, who knew he not only failed his exams, but also spread rumors about his own brother. The G family made the right call adopting the younger one. He's got a future. The older one is basically garbage. Trash personality and no degree. The mocking comments from the crowd hit my ears one by one, like ice picks driving straight into my chest. I've never been through such an embarrassing moment in my life. Those contemptuous looks pinned me in place like a million spikes. The veins in my arms bulged, but I had no way out. I could only grip the letter tighter and read the last sentence. I hereby apologize to Yiding Cheng. The second I finished, someone threw a rotten cabbage leaf at me. It hit me square in the chest. Then rotten eggs and rocks rained down on me. Pathological liar. Absolutely shameless. I just stood there numbly, letting the garbage hit me. My vision went dark, until my body went completely stiff, until Bai Ningbing finally spoke up and pulled me out of the crowd. But when she saw me covered in trash, she furrowed her brows in disgust, and even subconsciously took a step back. If you hadn't gone around telling people about the admission letter, this wouldn't have happened. I just gave a soft, bitter laugh. I didn't bother explaining, because I know explaining literally never works with her. In the days that followed, I locked myself in my room. I stopped talking. I stopped arguing with anyone, just quietly waiting for the day I'd finally leave. On the day of departure, the whole courtyard was buzzing with excitement. My parents got up super early, rushing around packing Yiding Cheng's bags, laughing and hyping up how great Beijing is. Bai Ningbing even pulled up in her jeep, looking totally serious about helping them out. They hovered around Yiding Cheng, so hyped, absolutely thrilled, while I was alone in my bedroom, silently packing up my last few things. It wasn't until they were about to head out that they realized they hadn't seen me all day. Bai Ningbing came to my door, knocked, and frowned. "You're not coming with us to drop Cheng off." I zipped up my suitcase, looked up at her, and gave a slight smile. "My train is leaving soon too." Bai Ningbing wanted to say something else, but my parents and Yiding Cheng were already in the car, rushing her. "Once I get back, I'll pick you up to move into the Bay house." She hurried off, not even looking back. So naturally, she didn't hear my quiet response. "Bai Ningbing, in this life, I'm not your husband anymore." I watched the jeep disappear down the road. A completely unfamiliar sense of relief suddenly washed over me. I went back to my room, unrolled a massive sheet of white paper, and wrote down exactly how my parents and Bai Ningbing forced me to give up my Tsinghua admission letter, and how they bullied me into confessing to a fake crime, word by word, on a giant poster. The handwriting was sharp, filled with bone-deep coldness. When I finished, I slapped it right in the middle of the courtyard's bulletin board. I didn't expect them to regret anything. I just wanted everyone to see how the supposed sensible older son they kept talking about was literally driven to the edge by their own hands. After getting all that done, I grabbed my bags and took one last look back. This place where I wasted almost 40 years, across 2 lifetimes, for a woman who never loved me, for 2 incredibly toxic, biased parents. I ruined an entire lifetime. But in this life, I am just living for myself. I shut the door and went straight to find Mr. Wang without looking back. I personally took back that Tsinghua admission letter. As I walked toward the train station facing the rising sun, I felt more determined than ever before. The train whistle shrieked. I stepped onto the carriage. The train slowly pulled away from the platform. This is the true start of my own life. Meanwhile, back at the University of Science and Technology registration desk, all hell broke loose. I heard from people later that my parents were clutching that fake admission letter, sweating bullets, desperately trying to explain to the staff, how could it be fake? Boda brought this back. We clearly remember it being real, and Yiting Cheng was standing next to them, crying so hard he couldn't breathe. But the university professors just looked totally exasperated, shaking their heads and sighing at the fake letter. Comrade, this is forged. It'll never pass the system verification. It finally dawned on them. That admission letter was never the problem from start to finish. The problem is, it never belonged to Yiting Cheng. My future was always, securely, in my own hands. My dad's face turned completely purple. My mom looked incredibly awkward. And Bai Ningbing was just frozen on the spot. She probably never imagined I'd actually lie to her. Yiting Cheng hid in her arms, sobbing. If brother didn't want me to go to college, he could have just said no. Why did he make a fake admission letter? Just to humiliate me like this? Talk about playing the victim. My parents confirmed again and again that the letter was definitely fake. Realizing there was zero chance of enrolling, they finally had to leave, absolutely bitter. Apparently, on the way back, my dad's fury was completely uncontainable. Gee, Boda, that ungrateful punk. Is he trying to give me a heart attack? Not only did he screw over his brother, but he made us lose face massively. My mom started complaining too. Seriously, we dragged ourselves all the way here, only to get clowned by a fake admission letter. Hey, he definitely hid the real one. He wanted to go to college himself. Hearing the story repeated to me on the train, I just found it incredibly ironic. I am indeed going to college, but that admission letter was mine to begin with. Since when did it become something I hid? Yiting Cheng was crying his eyes out. Mom, Dad, Day, what am I supposed to do now? The neighbors all think I'm the one who got an ill. If they find out, brother was the one who actually passed, I'll be cancelled and torn apart. The second they saw his tears, my parents instantly melted. Don't you worry. Your dad and I will never let anyone talk trash about you. Exactly. No one gets to say a word against you. I'll fight to the death before I let my son go without an education. I could vividly picture them acting all protective of their precious boy. It's just hilarious. The son they keep talking about was never me. I'm the actual biological son who got into Tsinghua. Yeah, in their eyes, I'm the villain. And what about Bai Ningbing? She was probably standing right there watching the whole show. I wonder if she thought back to a few days ago, when she watched me get pelted with rotten vegetables, taking maximum humiliation, and she didn't say a single word in my defense. Back then, my parents, and even her, not one person stepped up to shield me, or spoke up for me. Instead, they were the main culprits pushing that whole nightmare forward. But I'm supposed to be their biological son. I'm her childhood sweetheart. She grew up with her fiancé. Yiting Cheng is just an adopted kid. To her, he's just a little brother she feels bad for. Just the thought of it made Bai Ningbing feel strangely uneasy. For once, she was actually panicking. She tried to push down the panic, but her foot just slammed down harder on the gas pedal. The Jeep sped down the road. They made it back to the courtyard by evening. Dad was the first one out of the car, still cursing me out. I'm gonna teach that ungrateful brat a serious lesson today. It's just college, man. And he can't even give that up for his brother. Bai Ningbing pursed her lips and followed him. Once they got to my bedroom door, Dad's voice spiked. Gee, Boda, you? Dad looked like a chicken that suddenly got choked. His voice cut off instantly. Bai Ningbing's heart pounded heavily. She quickly pushed the bedroom door wide open. There was no one inside. All the clothes in the closet were gone too. A massive wave of anxiety rose in Bai Ningbing's chest. Why isn't Boda in his room? Did he actually, like his parents said, took the real admission letter and went to register for college? But the next second, she immediately dismissed the thought. Ji Boda grew up with her since they were little L. They were practically together every single day, never separated for a long time. And not to mention they were already married now. How could Ji Boda possibly bear to leave her and go to college alone? Thinking of this, Bai Ningbing's eyes lit up. We're married now. She remembered reminding Ji Boda before she left that she'd pick him up to move to the Bai house once she got back. What if he just packed his bags and moved over early? Bai Ningbing didn't waste another second. Completely ignoring my parents and Yiting Cheng yelling for her, she bolted to her car, started it up, and sped toward the Bai house. Once at the Bai house, Bai Ningbing went straight to the newlywed room they had set up ages ago. But it was totally empty. The anxiety in Bai Ningbing's chest started growing. She turned around and headed back to the Ji family's courtyard. But she couldn't tell if she was just being paranoid. Bai Ningbing felt like everyone in the courtyard was looking at her with total contempt. She frowned and walked into the Ji house. Even if Ji Boda really went off to college, she still had no clue which college accepted him. She had to ask the Ji family if they had any clues. But the second she walked in, she heard Yiting Cheng crying. How could brother do this? How am I supposed to show my face now? Dad's face was black as the bottom of a wok, his chest heaving with rage. That ungrateful bastard, absolute bastard, is he trying to destroy this family? Mom was sitting to the side, quietly crying too. We just wanted Cheng to have a good future, that's all. Why did he have to go and ruin things for Cheng? Bai Ningbing had no idea what was going on. She asked, "Is there news about Boda?" Mom and Dad looked at her, clearly hesitating to speak. Finally, Yiting Cheng couldn't hold back and sobbed. Sister Bingbing, brother wrote everything on a giant poster and stuck it on the courtyard bulletin board. Bai Ningbing's heart sank. She sprinted over to the bulletin board. The handwriting on the poster was exactly the one she knew so well. It neatly laid out the entire truth. Seeing Bai Ningbing standing there, the crowd hit her with those same contemptuous glares. Except this time, all the heat was directed at her. Childhood sweetheart fiancé, my ass. More like she randomly fell for the Ji family's adopted kid. Exactly. I always thought she cared way too much about the Ji family's adopted son, just never dared to say it out loud. Hearing everyone gossiping around her, Bai Ningbing opened her mouth to argue back. She wanted to say she didn't like Yiting Cheng. The only person she's ever liked from start to finish is Ji Boda. She only cared about Yiting Cheng because she felt bad that he lost his parents when he was little. Whereas Ji Boda not only had his biological parents right there, he also had her, his childhood sweetheart fiancé. Because of that, she felt Yiting Cheng was super pitiful. So she just treated him a bit better, that's all. She never realized that to outsiders, her actions were crossing massive boundaries, even to the point where they thought she cheated on him and caught feelings for Yiting Cheng. So, what about in Ji Boda's eyes? Did he think the same thing? Did he leave without saying goodbye? Because of this too. But the second she thought about Ji Boda vanishing from her world, her heart felt like a piece was missing. Totally empty. She never ever planned on separating from Ji Boda. Bai Ningbing stumbled down the street in a daze. She wanted to find Ji Boda and explain everything clearly, but she literally had zero clue where he went, even if he really took his admission letter and went to register for college. She didn't even know which school accepted him. Vaguely, Bai Ningbing spotted a familiar figure. She looked closer. It was Ji Boda's high school homeroom teacher, Mr. Wang. Mr. Wang, could you please tell me which school accepted Boda? Bai Ningbing forced down her excitement and asked Mr. Wang politely. She used to pick Ji Boda up from school at the gates, so Mr. Wang remembered her. But he also clearly remembered when Ji Boda got his admission letter. The total disappointment in his eyes when mentioning his family and fiancé. He's lived almost 50 years. How could he not see through it? They definitely did something completely awful to Ji Boda. Because of that, Mr. Wang's attitude was super cold. Boda. He got accepted into Tsinghua, and he already went to Beijing to register. I thought you were his fiancé. Did he really not tell you? Since Ji Boda left for Beijing, it had already been a full day and night. Doing the math, he probably already finished his enrollment process, so he wasn't worried about them trying to block him anymore. Tsinghua. Beijing? Mr. Wang's words were like a massive hammer, slamming into Bai Ningbing. She froze on the spot. She never expected that Ji Boda's college was actually Tsinghua, thousands of miles away, and that he had already left. Mr. Wang kept going. A while ago, I even went to find him, to give him the school's bonus for students accepted to Tsinghua. Did he not tell you guys about that either? Ji Boda did mention the bonus. But right at that moment, Yaten Cheng's pocket watch went missing, and all of them were dead set on the idea that Ji Boda stole it to sell for money. Not a single person believed what he said. She even had him locked in solitary confinement. Bai Ningbing felt the emotion called regret for the very first time. Turns out Ji Boda went through so much unfair trauma. So, will he ever come back? No, we literally just got our marriage license. We're legally married. He's definitely going to come back. Bai Ningbing suddenly remembered the marriage certificate. She sprinted back to the Bay house. After getting the marriage certificates, she had put them along with a bunch of other important documents into the safe in the study. While opening the safe, Bai Ningbing's hands were slightly shaking, seeing the marriage certificates perfectly safe right there in the safe. She finally breathed a huge sigh of relief, like grabbing onto a lifeline. She clutched them tightly to her chest, muttering to herself, Boda was just mad in the moment. He's still my husband. Once he cools down, I'll go find him and explain everything. I literally have zero feelings for Cheng. He'll definitely forgive me. Bai Ningbing felt way more at ease. A rare smile actually showed on her face. She casually flipped open the marriage certificate. But, the next second, her smile froze. The husband's name on the marriage certificate clearly read, Yiting Cheng. Bai Ningbing checked it over and over in pure disbelief. Did someone swap this marriage certificate with a fake? But the official seal and the date from the Civil Affairs Bureau were screaming right in her face, telling her this was the exact certificate they got that day. Her face instantly drained of all color. How is this possible? How can it be Yiting Cheng's name on the marriage certificate? She clearly remembers Ji Boda signing the marriage application form. In a flash, it suddenly hit her. When Ji Boda was signing, she was busy stressing over Yiting Cheng's cold. She didn't actually see whose name Ji Boda actually signed. Bai Ningbing could barely stand. She couldn't stop herself from stumbling backward. The hand holding the marriage certificate was shaking. Why would Ji Boda sign Yiting Cheng's name on the marriage certificate? They were the ones who were engaged. Could it be? Could it be just because she teamed up with his parents to demand he give his college admission letter to Yiting Cheng? But she was only thinking about how Yiting Cheng lost his biological parents. If he didn't have a degree on top of that, it'd be super hard for him to find a good job and settle down later. But Ji Boda is completely different. He has parents, and he has her, his childhood sweetheart fiancée. Even if he doesn't have a degree or a job, she'd still marry him and stay by his side. How could he not understand that? To the point where he'd run away from home and write Yiting Cheng's name on the marriage certificate. Thinking about this, Bai Ningbing felt super frustrated. But the next second, anxiety and panic totally took over. Everything Ji Boda did was a clear sign that he was dead set on cutting ties with the Ji family and with her. Does that mean he's really never coming back? Just the thought of Ji Boda potentially never coming back made Bai Ningbing's heart feel like it was violently squeezed by a giant hand. She couldn't breathe. No, she couldn't accept this. She has to annul the marriage with Yiting Cheng and go to Beijing to find Ji Boda. Once she made up her mind, Bai Ningbing immediately got ready to head to the Ji house. But she didn't expect my mom to come stumbling in, face covered in tears, grabbing her hand. Bing, hurry, come with me to see Cheng. Something happened to him. Normally, hearing something happened to Yiting Cheng, Bai Ningbing would rush over without hesitation. But, today, she looked at my mom, who only had Yiting Cheng's name on her lips. And for the first time ever she didn't move. Auntie, Boda ran away from home, and is currently missing. Why haven't I seen you care about him at all? My mom never expected her to ask about Ji Boda. She instinctively replied. He gave a fake admission letter to Cheng. He's obviously feeling guilty, and went to hide. Saying that, she started wiping tears again. It's all Boda's fault. If he had just given the admission letter to Cheng, none of this mess would have happened to our family. He's the older brother. Why can't he just compromise for his younger brother? We have to find him quickly and make him give the real admission letter to Cheng. The more Bai Ningbing listened, the colder her heart got. This is Ji Boda's biological mother, but her heart and eyes were completely full of Yiting Cheng. She didn't care about Ji Boda at all. She actually hadn't noticed any red flags before, and even stood with them to pressure Ji Boda. She really messed up big time. Bai Ningbing's voice was as cold as a layer of solid ice. Boda has already taken the admission letter to register. He might never come back. Mom's eyes widened in disbelief. Her tone was pure anxiety. He went to college. Then what about Cheng? He can't handle people pointing fingers at him. He just threw a fit and tried to drown himself in the river. If someone hadn't pulled him out in time, he'd be dead. Hearing that Yiting Cheng tried to kill himself, Bai Ningbing's expression visibly softened. He was still the little brother she genuinely cared about after all. How could she just stand by and watch him die? She gripped the marriage certificate in her hand and said, heavily, "The name Boda filled out on the marriage certificate is Cheng. It just so happens Cheng and I can act as a fake couple for now. With me around, no one will dare to gossip about him. Once this whole thing blows over, I'll divorce Cheng. As for Boda, just let him go to college. We shouldn't have pressured him." The image of Yiting Cheng, soaking wet, was still stuck in Mom's head. She didn't even have the brainpower to process the marriage certificate or who's going to college. The priority was to get Yiting Cheng out of the rumor mill, so he'd stop trying to kill himself. Mom hastily agreed. On the way to the hospital, Bai Ningbing had already made up her mind. Once she stabilized Yiting Cheng emotionally, she'd immediately head to Beijing to find Ji Boda and apologize. From now on, she wouldn't overcare for Yiting Cheng. She figured with nearly 20 years of history between them, Ji Boda wouldn't just drop it all like it was nothing. When the two rushed to the hospital room door, Dad was downstairs paying the bill. Inside the room, it was just Yiting Cheng lying in bed, and a few of his friends visiting him. Just as she was about to push the door open, she heard Yiting Cheng's vicious voice. He didn't sound like someone weak from nearly drowning at all. "Ji Boda, that little bitch, actually dared to scam me with a fake admission letter. So what are you gonna do? Doesn't that mean you can't go to college?" I obviously have a backup plan. Look, I just fake a suicide attempt in the river, and Ji Boda's idiot parents are practically losing their minds. They'll definitely secure a college spot for me. And it's not just college. I'm gonna steal Bai Ningbing too. Everything Ji Boda has should be mine anyway. I'm gonna leave him with absolutely nothing. Boom. Bai Ningbing and Mom looked like they were struck by lightning, frozen on the spot. What does that mean? Yiting Cheng faked his suicide. So what about before? The missing pocket watch, framing Ji Boda. Was that all directed and acted by him too? And the whole point of all this was to steal everything Ji Boda had. The conversation inside continued. But Ji Boda is their biological son after all. What if they refuse? Yiting Cheng scoffed lightly. His voice had a coldness they'd never heard before. So what if he's biological? After all these years of me purposely setting him up, Ji Boda has zero place left in their hearts. Whereas me, the adopted son, I'm treated no differently than blood. Even Sister Bingbing, his childhood sweetheart, fiancé, is totally biased toward me. But that's not enough. I want all of them to completely give up on Ji Boda. The only one they can care about is Bam. Bai Ningbing couldn't listen anymore. She kicked the door open, eyes blazing, staring at the smug man in the room. Yiting Cheng was chatting excitedly with his bras. He never expected Bai Ningbing and Mom to burst in. He totally panicked, but still forced a fake smile to play it cool. "Sister Bingbing, Mom, why are you guys here?" Mom marched right up to him and slapped Yiting Cheng hard across the face. Shaking with rage, "Our Ji family raised you from when you were little. How have we ever wronged you for you to plot against my son like this?" Ever since they adopted Yiting Cheng, Dad and Mom were so scared of failing their comrade's dying wish, they treated him flawlessly. All the snacks and toys in the house went to him first. At night, worried he'd be homesick and couldn't sleep, Mom ruthlessly made Ji Boda sleep alone, while she stayed by Yiting Cheng's bed reading him stories. Even the neighbors sometimes joked that they treated Yiting Cheng better than their own biological son, Ji Boda. Mom asked herself. Her and her husband never favored their biological son. In fact, they heavily favored Yiting Cheng. But she never expected to raise a total snake, stirring up drama in their family, and throwing dirt on Jiboda's name. Remembering every single thing that happened, Mom couldn't help but slap Yiting Cheng across the face again. You snake, I completely regret taking you in. Our Ji family has no son like you. Yiting Cheng's cheeks puffed up fast. 2 clear handprints showed up on his face. But, ignoring the pain, he explained through fake tears, Mom, you heard wrong. I was just joking around with my friends. He looked around frantically, hoping someone would back him up. But, seeing things go south, his friends had already dipped out quietly, leaving only the 3 of them. Seeing that, Mom and Bai Ningbing already figured out his true colors. Yiting Cheng was terrified, seeing the anger and disgust in Mom's eyes. It was so intense it was basically palpable. He turned and grabbed Bai Ningbing's sleeve, his voice shaking as he defended himself. Sister Bing Bing, I didn't mean it. I was just so insecure. I only did this because I was scared Mom and Dad would abandon me. You watched me grow up. You get me, right? Help me convince Mom and Dad to forgive me, please. I'll apologize to brother. Before he could even finish, bam! Bai Ningbing shoved him hard onto the floor. Her fists were clenched tight, cracking. She radiated an aura of pure ice. Yiting Cheng, you're gonna pay for everything you've done. Yiting Cheng knelt on the floor, bawling his eyes out, begging non-stop for them to forgive him. But they stayed completely stone-faced. Right now, a huge wave of regret crashed over Mom and Bai Ningbing. For a toxic, manipulative guy like this, they actually pushed Jiboda to leave without a word. Yiting Cheng saw that no matter how much he begged, they weren't budging at all. He finally dropped the whole innocent act. Pointing at them, he screamed, yeah, I'm jealous of Jiboda. So what if he has a perfect family and a childhood sweetheart fiancé? Why does his life get to be so good? Why have to live off charity? Plus, I just squeezed out a few tears and flapped my lips a little. You guys were the ones who chose to believe me. You guys forced Jiboda away, not me. Yiting Cheng's words were like a massive slap to Bai Ningbing and Mom's faces. Yeah, they were the main culprits who pushed Jiboda away. Bai Ningbing remembered what Mr. Wang said. Her fists subconsciously clenched. She was going to Beijing to find Boda. She didn't hesitate anymore. She quickly walked out of the room. At the hospital room door, she ran into Dad, his eyes completely bloodshot. Turns out Dad had been back for a while and heard the whole truth from outside the room. In a flash, this always upright veteran looked like he aged 20 years. His back hunched over. He looked at Bai Ningbing, his eyes filled with deep shame and regret. Bing, Boda, where did he go to college? Is he ever coming back? Behind him, Mom was looking at her with desperate hope too. Bai Ningbing looked toward the north. Her voice was firm. He will it. I'll definitely bring him back. Tsinghua University Academic Building. I looked up from the massive pile of books and rubbed my sore neck. It's been almost a month since the semester started. I've totally gotten used to the college rhythm, reborn for a second time. Finally, stepping into the Tsinghua campus I always dreamed of. I obviously wasn't going to waste this chance. Besides classes, I pretty much spent all my free time at the library, like a totally dried up sponge, soaking up knowledge like crazy. Diplomacy is my ultimate goal. In this life, I'm definitely not handing it over to anyone else. I closed my books, cleared off my desk, and got ready to head out. Following my usual routine, it was time for a quick run on the track. Health is wealth, after all. Just as I walked out of the library, a voice called out from behind, "Freshman, you forgot your student ID." Just as I was wondering if they were talking to me, a super bright smile popped up right in front of me. "See you again, freshman." It was Liu Ruyan from the neighboring engineering college. I was slightly surprised. The first time I met her was on registration day. I couldn't find my dorm building. She was super nice and showed me the way, and even gave me a whole tour of the campus layout along the way. Right then, I thought, she was a girl who just radiated sunshine. Senior, what a coincidence. I was a bit surprised as I took the ID back, but she just laughed and said, "Not a coincidence. I noticed a while ago that you always study in this specific spot in the library. So, when I saw you drop your ID, I just ran after you to give it back. I hugged my books, my arms tightening slightly, instinctively putting on a polite smile. Thanks, senior. I have class. Gotta go. Seeing me acting all defensive like she was a threat, she paused for a second, then laughed out loud. Freshman, what are you thinking? I'm not a bad guy, you know. Turns out she came to ask for my help. Our project needs someone to translate foreign literature. Figured since your foreign language skills are solid, wondering if you'd be down. Hearing her explanation, I secretly let out a sigh of relief. But, at the same time, my face uncontrollably flushed red. I didn't expect she only noticed me because of actual work. I cleared my throat, hiding my awkwardness. Of course, senior. It's just that I'm a freshman, worried I might not be good enough. Don't sweat it. She cut me off with a smile. Translation mainly requires patience and attention to detail. If you can chill quietly in the library for so long, I believe you can handle it. Her words hit right at my core desire. Foreign language majors need nothing but time, and her mentioning growing through practice felt like encouragement tailor-made for me. Senior, I'm in. I nodded solemnly. From that day on, besides classes, I practically spent all my free time at their lab, translating literature, checking dictionaries, cross-referencing previous translations. I aimed for 100% accuracy in every detail, because I knew this wasn't just a gig. It was a stepping stone to my future. The project progressed faster and faster, and my relationship with Liu Ruyan naturally got way closer. That night, after I translated the final word, I stretched. My shoulders were so sore they were basically falling apart. Liu Ruyan leaned in all secretive. Freshman, how about I treat you to some copperpot hot pot? I paused for a sec, but a little light instantly clicked on in my heart. Copperpot hot pot. In this foreign and lonely city, those words sounded warmer than anything else. My eyes subconsciously lit up, and I practically blurted out, bet. It had been almost 3 months since I got to Beijing. I was hustling between the lab and mall, the lecture halls almost every single day, and my meals were mostly just quick bites at the dining hall. My stomach was already protesting. Until tonight, Liu Ruyan led me through the streets and alleys, and we stopped in front of a low-key little shop. Don't let the size fool you. It's super authentic. Try it. I skeptically picked up my chopsticks, dipped the lamb in thick sesame sauce and took a bite. Instantly, it felt like a warm current washed over my taste buds and hit my soul. My eyes completely lit up. It's been so long since I had a proper meal. That satisfaction literally made my chest feel lighter. Liu Ruyan watched me absolutely devouring the food, a smile flashing in her eyes. She didn't say anything, but the vibe spoke volumes. We chatted while we ate, and I slowly learned. She was a Beijing local, born and raised. Both her parents were researchers. She grew up surrounded by it, which is why she chose nuclear engineering. And me, a guy living his second life, carrying a secret no one knows. For the first time, I felt like someone was actually willing to sit across from me and genuinely listen to me. I finished that meal feeling totally full and content, patting my slightly bulging stomach. I honestly felt like all the exhaustion from the lab these past few days was completely wiped out. When we got back to campus, we walked shoulder to shoulder to her dorm building. Liu Ruyan said softly, "Get some good rest today. We'll hit the lab together tomorrow." I nodded, feeling a sudden weird sense of reluctance to leave. Ending the day just chatting and laughing like this was already precious enough for me. I was just about to say bye when a super familiar voice suddenly rang out from behind. Boda. My feet froze in place. My heart instantly tightened. After Bai Ningbing found out Ji Boda was at Tsinghua, she immediately bought the earliest train ticket to head to Beijing. But literally a second before the train left, she got hit with an emergency mission and had to rush somewhere else. It wasn't until the mission ended 2 months later that she hauled ass to catch the train to Beijing. On the train, she had thought about how Ji Boda might ice her out and tell her to leave, or just pretend she didn't exist. But it didn't matter. As long as she got to see him, that was enough. But she never imagined that when they finally met again, there would be another woman right by his side. He was even laughing and joking with her. She looked at Ji Boda with a super complicated expression, forcing herself not to look at the girl next to him. Boda, I finally found you. I didn't expect the next time I'd hear that long-lost voice would be right outside Lu Ruyan's dorm. Bai Ningbing stood a few steps away, her intense gaze locked right onto me. Her eyes were swimming with a mess of emotions and regret. But, to me, those eyes literally meant nothing anymore. I just stared at her blankly, like looking at a total stranger I had zero connection with. Why are you here? She flinched, like she got stabbed by my coldness. But the next second, she swallowed her pride, her voice sounding almost pleading. Boda, Uncle, Auntie, and I all know we messed up. We shouldn't have been so biased, or ignored you for Yiting Cheng. She kept rambling on about what happened after I left. How Yiting Cheng dropped his mask and shamelessly crashed at the GI house. How my parents were powerless against him. And how she even traded her first-class military merit for a forced divorce, completely torpedoing her chances of promotion. I listened quietly, feeling absolutely zero emotion. That was her choice. Her consequence. None of my business. The moment I stepped onto that train to Beijing, I only had one goal in mind: study hard and become an elite diplomat. Everyone and everything else was dead to me. Seeing me completely unfazed, she got even more desperate. She actually reached out to grab me. Boda, can you please just come back and get the license with me first? I promise I'll support your college studies. Once we're married, I can use my military spouse status to transfer to Beijing and stay by your side. Before she could finish, Liu Ruyan stepped up and shielded me right behind her. Use your words. Keep your hands to yourself. Her tone was calm, but carried an undeniable firmness. Bai Ningbing's face instantly went dark, her voice cold as ice. This is between me and my fiancé. Mind your own business. I immediately cut in to shut down her delusion. Who's your fiancé? We cut ties a long time ago. At best, you're just my ex-fiancé. Hearing this, Liu Ruyan smirked, a sharp, cold smile. Comrade, women in this new era need to be classy. Know when to hold on and when to let go. After a breakup, stalking and throwing a tantrum is a pretty trashy look. Bai Ningbing's fists clenched so tight they cracked. Knowing her temper, I knew if I didn't make it clear, she'd never back off. I gently signaled Lu Ruyan to leave first. We were on campus, so she wouldn't try anything dangerous. Liu Ruyan shot me a look, though she was worried. She eventually walked away, glancing back repeatedly. Bai Ningbing mistook my expression for softening. A faint glimmer of hope flashed in her eyes, but I immediately crushed that hope into absolute dust. Bai Ningbing, just leave. I stared at her blankly, my voice as cold as ice. My household registration is officially in Beijing now. I'm never going back in this lifetime. Bai Ningbing's face went completely pale, looking absolutely devastated. Boda, I already had Yiting Cheng locked up. He'll never have the chance to frame you again. Please believe me. I just shook my head. Do you still not get it? The one who hurt me was never Yiting Cheng. It was you and my parents. It was your endless favoritism toward Yiting Cheng. That made me finally decide to leave you all. I bet if I actually listened to you and gave my college spot to Yiting Cheng, you guys would still be orbiting around him and leaving me all alone. Bai Ningbing frantically argued back. That's impossible. I genuinely wanted to marry you. How could I ever leave you alone? Plus, uncle and auntie are your biological parents. They would never abandon you either. I gave a totally cynical smirk. But all this is exactly what I actually lived through in my past life. Save your breath. I'm not changing my mind. Bai Ningbing still refused to give up, but could only plead powerlessly. Boda, you promised me when we were kids. You said you'd marry me. A hint of mockery filled my eyes. You also promised me you'd never let me get hurt. But for Yiting Cheng, you threw me in solitary confinement, made me take the fall, and endure everyone's toxic glares and insults. Bai Ningbing stiffened instantly. Boda's dead, lifeless eyes flashed through her mind. Yeah, ha. She had made a promise to protect him too. But what actually happened? I was done wasting time with her. Seeing I was about to leave, Bai Ningbing desperately tried to make me stay. What about your parents? Even if you can't forgive me, they gave you life and raised you. Are you really just going to cut them off like this? The second the words left her mouth, Bai Ningbing regretted it. All these years, she had seen exactly how my parents treated me. But words spoken are like spilled water. You can't take them back. My expression didn't change even slightly. I'll do my basic duty to support them. I'll wire them a chunk of money every month on the dot. But, besides that, nothing else. I paused, staring straight at Bai Ningbing. I hope that whether it's you or them, none of you ever come looking for me again. Your presence literally just brings me bad vibes and trouble. With that, I turned and headed upstairs, never looking back once. Bai Ningbing stood stiffly in place, watching Jibota's back slowly disappear from her sight. In the end, she didn't say another word. She was the one who took him for granted, hurt him over and over again. What right did she have to keep harassing him and beg for forgiveness? After class, the next day, I went to the lab as usual. Liu Ruyan was hyper-focused on her experiment like always. Like nothing even happened last night. She didn't ask, didn't pry, just focused on her own grind. During lunch, I couldn't help but glance at her a few times. Finally, I broke the silence. Senior, aren't you going to ask about last night? She looked up and amusingly ruffled my hair. That's your private business. If you wanted to tell me, you'd tell me. Plus, I can pretty much guess. It's some seriously unhappy history. I don't want to make you relive that trauma. It just hurts you all over again. She dropped her usual playful vibe, getting totally serious for once. Bota, no matter what happened in the past, all I know is, in the future, you'll definitely be an elite diplomat. I froze. The heavy suffocation that had been crushing my chest suddenly evaporated. My eyes started burning a bit, but I still nodded as hard as I could. I absolutely will. Maybe she got the message, but since then, I never saw Bai Ningbing again. In the days that followed, I went fully tunnel vision on my studies, actively grinding in every diplomatic event I could find. My path got more and more solid. 4 years later, I graduated smoothly and entered the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as an outstanding grad. The first time I stepped up to the ministry's podium, facing endless camera flashes and expectant eyes, I finally achieved the dream I held on to for 2 lifetimes. In that moment, my heart was incredibly at peace. All the past trauma and pain just became stepping stones beneath my feet. I heard that, back in far-off Jincheng, my parents and Bai Ningbing were glued to the TV, watching me pop up on screen. I have no idea what they were feeling. Maybe guilt, maybe pure regret. But honestly, none of that matters to me anymore. I just want to walk the rest of my path like a boss and live a life that truly belongs to me, Jibota.